Right, this is going to be another episode of Hot Take Point Mate. The boys are gathered round. I've got a little bit of a cold, but don't worry. I'm not one of these people who just PUSSI out and then just go, I'm going to call. Just turn on the camera and talk. Just have a cold and make shit points about Counter-Strike. It's not that hard, is it? Fucking hell. I'm pulling half these out our ass anyway. If you don't know, like you, I'm gonna let you in on the real secret of the show. We're all plebs too. What we do is we have an emotional feeling that feels nice as a comment to say. We go, I'm going to say this into the world to send tweet. And after you send the tweet, you just rationalise that thought with all like clever, like in the case of Maui, you bring in some like fucking Descartesian philosophy. Kassad just adds like, I don't know, Balkan belligerence. And at the end, that equation equals like, that's an analytical take. And then if the player themselves goes, that's not even vaguely like what me and my team are like. You're just a guy watching. We're just like, all right, no need to get fucking emotional, you arsehole. Shut the fuck up about that. Although at least we're legit boys. At least we take it on the chin in public. We don't do that thing I hate where people are like, if you just DM me about it, you can resolve this rationally. Like, no, like I'm flaming you publicly. You can fucking send tweet too. Don't worry about that. It's just the problem is, boys, if you do send tweet, I might for 5 years still be sending tweet afterwards because I'm petty. But anyway, enough about that. That's how the show exists. So, Hot Take Point Made returns. And you know what, boys? I actually want to just start with a fan take. I know normally I go, we'll start with our takes. It's a show about us anyway, isn't it? As you'll find out in this episode. But this is one of those rare times where, one, the fan is even someone from my Discord, so it's going to be funny. And two, I think this take is a rare example where there's no explanation. It's just a hot take, and then we'll see how people react. So, by the way, if you want to submit your own fan-related hot take, subscribe to Last Nation Discord. There's a channel in there called CS Hot Takes. Just put it in there. If you don't want your username read, say something, but this guy doesn't mind. He's from my Discord anyway. So listen, Kassad, buckle in, mate. Zumba says Ash should shut the fuck up and stop making YouTube videos and sign a good op. That's it. That's there's no more reasoning. That's it. So, boys, listen, it's bold. I'm telling you, it's bold. So I want to know what people think of this. React.
This is the best take that a fan had so far.
Is in your wheelhouse, is it? Okay.
Zumba, outside of your name, this is like, just message me. I'll send you a skin or something. Just because of this thing.
Reverse Stewie 2K. Okay, fine. Okay.
The thing is, like, I wouldn't put it this way, that way, but maybe I would actually. But the thing is, it's a proper way of thinking, right? Like someone like me would say, like, shut the fuck up, stop making videos, and sign a fucking offer. Or you, Duncan, that would be kind of your type of, phrasing it. Maui probably not. But the thing is, like, he's right. Like, he's absolutely right. Now we have this, like, this weird ass lineup of GamerLegion that is not you can't even, how I put it in my Serbian podcast, like I said, like, they are not a threat to anyone. Like the team, like, that was a threat, right? When they play against a certain team, they beat Falcons, remember, like, in the group stage at the beginning of the year, they can beat different teams. They're like a danger to face, right? You have Ash that you don't know what you're gonna do. You always sign these players that you don't know what to expect, and they're more a fun team to watch. I admit it. But ever since, like, they got this 1000 guy, and then they got the Hypex. The Hypex guy is just like has zero impact on the game. He might as well be like, anybody else, because this guy just doesn't do much. I hear people saying, like, yeah, he has some potential, but I haven't seen anything. Like, literally nothing. He's just there, right? He has no impact in the game. He's not terrible, but he's not what he's supposed to be, right? And then you have, ZTR as the IGL, which is, like, below average. Like, very average, right? And then you have the two stars-ish, PR and Rez, who is playing well. PR is playing great, and I think he's going to be going to another team very soon. Or maybe to 100 Thieves if that thing is legit or not. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm just saying I try to find out. I don't know. That's the bottom line. Outside of that, I mean, he does do a lot of content shit when his team is in the crisis. Like, it's just bad optics. Like, for him as a professional and somebody who is respected as a coach in today's, competitive scene, right? He is very well respected in that sense because what he accomplished with GamerLegion with so little cash against the big dogs and whatnot, right? And now he's like posting videos and like doing this analytics stuff. Mate, you have bigger problems to think about. Like, fuck the YouTube for now. You re-signed the contract. Your team is looking like shit. Maybe it's not your fault. Probably it's not your fault. Maybe it is. We don't know. Well, happy to hear his side of things. But the bottom line is like, stop making videos. Just take a pause, fix your team, fix your fucking AWPer, and then, you can do a video here and there when your team is back. I mean, it's just, the take is right. I like it. I do like it.
Thoughts, Maui?
Yeah, I understand the angle that Ash is going for, because it's never good to put all of your eggs in one basket when you're in esports. It's pretty clear that, I mean, as we do, all three of us, diversifying is just essential to your livelihood in this space. So I'm never going to really actually knock somebody for trying to do a little bit more. Like, how many pro players would probably get a huge boost in their brand if they actually decided to boot up the stream or even just have some YouTube videos or something like that. The take is hilarious though, just because, yeah, obviously GamerLegion is in a they've really fallen from what we thought they were maybe even 5 or so months ago. I mean, the MRQ really did them in by failing to qualify for Austin. This felt like, I mean, they've had some kind of cheeky victories, but I feel like most of those victories this year were in the first half of the year as opposed to the second. This half has been pretty damn poor, like multiple last place finishes. And I feel like if you're Ash, the saving grace though is that you need to have the YouTube, because once your team, your core rifler trio gets bought out, what else do you have at that point? So I mean,
your skill, you have your skill, coaching skill.
That's true. That's true. But if you have no players to coach or any good players, what good is skill of coaching when there's no people to actually bestow information onto? Yeah, no, I mean, to make this a little bit more serious than just the guy should like just shut the fuck up or whatever, which is a ridiculous thing to say to a coach. I'm sure Kassad does get that kind of message a lot, though. Yeah, I just feel like this is two things. One, it plays into the fact that I brought up. I mean, I brought up on Snake and Banter, I don't know, months ago, maybe 3 months ago when he got Kersey. It's like, dude, there's just a massive blind spot for AWPers when it comes to Ash and his recruitment process, because we've got, like, what have we done? Slend, Hypex, Acor. Like, when Acor is the best AWPer that you've had for the past 3 years, but you found so many gems for riflers, there's something missing. Like, there just has to be something missing there. So he probably needs a little bit of assistance on that side.
No, I mean, the joke to me, I'll start with the last point you made there, is I actually was going to say something similar, is everyone doesn't have the same scouting skills. Like, obviously he has some crazy nose for like aggressive rifle players. He's done some insane work finding those ones, even ones that already, like, if people don't know, someone like Gamer, no one else would find. He wasn't like some FPL talent. He wasn't even young, by the way. He was just a guy that like Ash really just picked out and was like, right, I'll profile this guy, and built a team around him for like 2 years or something. So, and some more, I think actually, like, it's mad impressive. But if you look, he clearly doesn't have that eye for the fucking AWPer. I couldn't even believe he has for the IGLs. Like, I'm not a massive ZTR fan, but I do think he's been like slightly better than I expect in terms of what it looks like the calling impact is on the teams he's in. So that gives you some combat. Yeah, for AWP, he's missed. I've seen this happen with coaches in sports where there's just a position they're not as good at. That's why I actually agree with you. For that one position, maybe just find some sort of like the equipment. We don't really do it in CS, but in League of Legends, you actually sometimes now have people you bring in on a smaller basis called positional coaches, just to coach much one role in the game. Like, you could almost go for someone like that for the AWP, because I do think in this particular team, it's always been the issue, as Maui just pointed out. Like, what people are missing, and this is the depressing thing about watching GamerLegion, is they just got away with it when it was fucking Slend. Like, Slend was very up and down. He didn't have that many big lads. Put it this way, he was just one of those people in general who bashed the worst AWPers for me. He's another one that fits my rule of, like, the tier 1 AWPer being the big mismatch. If he played a non-tier 1 AWPer, he could win. But essentially, the team was always working around that with just good calls, matching up well, decent map pool always in GamerLegion, like riflers doing their jobs. So you go back, even then they needed the better AWPer to get to the next level. They were stuck at being like a 7th to 8th type team even when they had good runs. So I also feel like, here's the sad thing, I think this is the one spot you don't have to gamble on the same way. Like, if I were them, there's 2 players that if they get cut from their team, look, their player might not want to join, but I think it would be appropriate they join a team like GamerLegion, which is, say Team Liquid did kick out Ultimate. Mate, that's a player who, he might be a problem for Team Liquid. He's not a problem for you. You could pick that player up tomorrow and he can do something. Same thing when FaZe benched Brokey. I don't know where else was going to pick up Brokey. I don't believe G2 or someone was going to sign him. So again, why couldn't he have been in a GamerLegion? Like, it's a player that seems to know how he wants to play the game, has experience, etc. So if I was Ash, I would just get someone semi-proven if they're not as good. Because so far he's never hit, he's never gotten, when he reached into the grab bag of AWPers, he's never pulled out the Molodoi. It's never happened for him so far, unfortunately. In fact, the ones he picks seem like they can never become, they already seem like the finished product is the worst thing. Because the Cursey one was the ultimate reach too far, mate. You brought that guy on the team, and did he improve at all? I think he just got worse, if anything. Like, he just couldn't handle that level of player whatsoever. And so that was easily the worst one. Then there's the whole thing, which is like, the problem with this topic goes like this. It's slightly one of my pet peeves, because it's a famous thing people do on social media, where if you say something they don't like, they go, oh yeah, well, why don't you just focus on the main thing in your life instead of saying that? And it's like, because like sending a tweet takes 2 seconds. So even though I get it that, like, yes, in theory, the hours that it takes to prep a video and record it could be used for your team, in most cases, it's pretty sweet. I think it's very unlikely Ash is actually doing that during his workday instead of 2 hours of VOD review. I'd imagine he's doing that actually in his free time after he's finished coaching, basically. So that would be 2 hours he would probably spend watching fucking Over the Top with Steven Seagal from the 80s. So, you know what I mean? Like, fucking hell, like, surely at that point in time, he's not really cutting into his coaching time. I agree with Kassad, sort of, which is, this is one reason why so far in my career I've never taken any coaching gig, even remotely, even though I've actually had them from some very good teams in both League of Legends and CS, because I always told people, even if I did an amazing job, the problem is I feel like within coaching, part of it is almost like a mystique that you sell to your players, that if you, it's not even that you have to have all the answers now, but that you're working and your process will always get to the answers, and they'll always be safe, that you'll figure out what needs to be done and how to get the next level. And so unfortunately, if you think about it, in nearly all main sports, the most legendary coaches actually do create that mystique, whether it's true or not, that they're the first in the building and the last out, and they're the ones up all night thinking about the opponent, and you know, they're prepping for the guy they're going to meet in the playoffs months earlier in the regular season, thinking about, and they're looking at philosophical angles for the Eureka moment. Like, that's the sport, that's what we've all seen in all the movies, that's what we all want. We all low-key want the guy where it feels like he eats and breathes the game, and we go home and just live lives, but then he's there just thinking all the time. And so unfortunately, I do feel like if you're not that sort of person, it's just not as effective necessarily. I think that probably is the approach to go for and have your team feel like you live and die with all the results too. So I get that angle. But as I say, I actually don't think it's that big a deal. And also, as Maui alluded to, listen, there's not much loyalty in the fucking coaching game, mate. Whereas I'll tell you right now, Ash could literally walk tomorrow and be on an analyst desk because of those videos, in my opinion. In fact, I'd even argue if you're someone like ESL, if he got fired from his coaching job, you should just offer him to make those videos for your fucking channel, mate. You'd probably get 10 times more views on him. I think it'd be really popular. Or have him do a segment on the show. I feel like he's actually almost set up a media fucking life for himself. I do think it was funny the way it was phrased, though. The way it was definitely... He came out hard with it. Yeah. He came out hard.
I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's necessary to do it if you're a coach. You are a coach and you're putting out a bad picture, kind of, in players' eyes and other teams and owners and stuff like this. Is you speaking from your perspective, right? But try it from perspective from the team, other teams and owners and general managers and whoever the fuck, right? Doesn't really give you confidence there, does it? Like, imagine if you are following, football in England, and let's say Arne Slot right now. Liverpool is playing like shit. right, in the last 10 games, and let's say Arda Slot goes and records himself play a fucking golf, playing golf or whatever the fuck he does, the fans would be fucking furious.
Sure.
Furious, right? You spend 400 million in the break, in the summer break, and you play like shit, like you can't score a goal, and you can't beat anyone. Bradford is beating you, like it's just fucking crazy, right? So for me, like the skill to make YouTube videos are there, right? He has that personality to explain it. He has the editing skills, and he knows how to sell the video, whatever the fuck. That's perfectly fine. Like that's gonna be there. It's not gonna go anywhere. Like when your team is in crisis, you need to at least project a picture, some sort of some urgency, right, and dedication. Make a video about like your team. Why did we what happened to us? This is what I want to show people. Where did we go wrong for GamerLegion in this and this and this and that? That would be more interesting video, and people wouldn't connect it to someone else. He's just analyzing young talents and stuff like. Nobody cares about that right now. That is connected to your team, right? And so maybe shut the fuck up and get an AWPer, But I get the direction that this guy was going for, and that's why I agree with him, right?
I think where was I gonna go? Fuck, I lost the point actually. Okay, yeah. I mean, the take is just like it just sounds like a Twitter comment. Like shut the fuck up. That's what's actually hilarious about it. But I don't know. I'm actually gonna say this though. Like we don't know with Ash what was on the table for him when he re-upped his deal with GamerLegion. And I wish we knew, because I think that was the one point in his career where his stock was extremely high. It was like finally he was gaining some steam. Like he went on Snake and Banter. He started the YouTube channel. He was getting a lot of interview coverage from HLTV, and then it was it just felt like a giant blue balls moment when we found out that he was just stinking on GamerLegion. If he was able to just be the Saw on G2, we could have actually seen more. But they must have given him a great deal for GamerLegion or something, because his stock was so high that it just felt like, how are you not going to a FaZe Clan, a G2, some of the top 10 orgs, because his skills or what he had proven at that point merited it. And he was red hot. Like the community loved him at that. And now with the bad run, just string of results here, the stock is dropping really fast.
Okay. Right, who wants to? Do you have a take, Kassad?
Yes, I do have a take. And this one, I was just going through the different things, and I decided to go on NAVI here. And first of all, the hot take is pretty simple. Senzu should go to NAVI. That's just the number.
I think Benny speaks English, right? But don't worry about it. I'll keep going.
No. I mean, there are people but Nico didn't fucking speak anything. Like he was like fucking.
Okay.
He was an idiot when it comes to speaking English. Like he was a complete noob, right? And then he learned. Like you can learn this. These kids are nowadays. You have all these things, and it's easily I
will say one thing I actually think is mad underrated, Kassad, is one of the reasons people think you can't learn languages is because unfortunately a lot of people have used those apps that are just like learning words or whatever. People say in the modern day all you do is get one of those AI assistants that talks to you in the language, and you just learn it within fucking months, mate. Because you can just have constant real conversations with it. I'm amazed people haven't thought to do that and say yes. Every team should just have all the players learn English. I would do it. It's a good idea.
Just have football players from Nigeria and fucking Kenya or whatever the fuck, right? Just coming into European teams, you think they speak the Nigerian there, or they have a translator in the game? No, by the time they learn English in the German Division 2, 3, whatever they play.
Set it up then. So if we imagine he could speak English to join the team, how's this going to work? How's this going to work?
This is the thing. They are in a lookout. They should be in a lookout for a star player, because the sub-hot take of this main take is the fact that makazze or whatever you pronounce it is the worst star player in the top 20 teams.
Top 20?
Worst star player.
20?
20,
Fucking
yeah.
hell, 20? Fucking hell. Why is it always, here's the thing, his takes always work, but the number is always what trips it up. Like, he's like Dr. Evil in the first Austin Powers. Like, the factor's always off. Like, 20, bro! How many players are there in the top 20? By the way, the 20th best team is Saw.
Okay.
It's fucking Saw, for
15,
fuck's sake.
15. I mean, Saw just defeated Liquid. Like,
Yeah, let me know which star players they have. And then we've got fucking Gentlemates. Like, God, I don't know about this thing. Anyway, whatever.
That proves
Sorry.
my point. Anyway.
Okay, keep making your point.
Okay.
Does it really?
No. Listen. But top 15. Let's say top 15 for the sake
Okay,
of the argument.
okay.
So you are happier, right? He's by far the worst player there. He's like putting up this 109 or 103 rating against the top 30 teams, like in the last 3 months. But the bottom line is the fact that he's providing zero value for his team ever since he came in. Like, he had a couple of games, that's it. The numbers that he's putting as a star player give Navi nothing. The only thing that he's saving him, because the all eyes and the spotlight of Navi's failure is like directed toward Wonderful, towards Ime, maybe towards Blade, I guess, in some sense, right? But mostly towards Wonderful. I do not think he's the main reason, though. I think the star player, he was supposed to come in after JL to kind of deliver from the academy to whatnot, whatever. He's delivered nothing. The guy is a simply fraud, right? It's just a fraud, right? The thing is, like, he's doing. I watched the Navi's game because they got eliminated today. When we are recording this, it's Tuesday, so they got eliminated by Heroic. And I watched their game. If I was Navi, I would make 2 changes. One would be a Senzu for makazze, and then I would remove Ime for some. I'm not sure which player yet, but I would keep Bit, maybe put some soft anchor instead of Ime, and then it would be a little bit different right now. But the main take is the fact that Senzu need to go there. I think he would profit a lot. He would grow a lot as a player because he's already a star player. He would grow with Blade. He would grow with Navi as organization.
By the way, we're taking with this the notion that the most recent update was, it's claimed by people who know Senzu that actually maybe he just benched himself because he's like in a bad headspace or something. He didn't do anything. As far as we know, he didn't do anything illegal or anything. So this is why we're being
That's the assumption, right?
Okay, yeah,
that's
sure.
Assumption.
Okay.
Obviously. The thing is, like, if Navi can provide him whatever he needs as an organization. We know that in the past, Navi has been great to their players, at least what we know. And they even supported some of the crazy things, and they supported players despite doing crazy things. They have a great coach in Blade. They don't play every single event like Mongols did. They can provide him all the necessary things to be the best version of himself. And he would probably return that in a big way for Navi. He would deliver a lot of numbers. He would improve their game, and I think he's the right person for them right now, right? Because he's playing all those roles, star roles, and Navi and Blade knows how to use the players like that, right? And he's much higher skill than makazze and JL before him, right? Then we go to the secondary position. That's a bit of a problem for Navi right now, because I don't know where they can go with that position right now, because there are so many options. Can you go for somebody like Jim Head from Mouse, or is his stock too low right now? It's just it's here and there. But bottom line is that makazze is just not the guy for Navi. I think that he was overestimated, overpriced. He was like pretty much a swing and a miss for Navi right there. Yeah, I don't think he delivers anything. On top of that, Ime is just terrible. I watched the game today against Heroic. The amount of bad fights that guy is taking, the bad micro decisions that he is making during one map is unbelievable. He used to make up with some of the good moves before and some of the high impact numbers to cover and hide those mistakes. Right now, it is absolutely disgusting how he's playing. Like, he's single-handedly, together with makazze and a little bit of Wonderful. I'm not going to give too much credit to Wonderful and say that he is not the problem at all, because there is a lot of guilt in him or a lot of
I know
a
what you
lot
mean.
of problems
I know what you
with
mean.
him. Sorry.
Mhm.
A lot of problems for him that he's causing for Navi. Sorry, and then but he's not the main source or the reason why Navi is where it is right now. So first fix for Navi, and no matter what happens in the major right now, because they're gonna play with the same lineup, first player that needs to go out is Makazze. The player that needs to go in is Senzu. That's it.
Okay. Just judging from what they did at Thunder Pick, pretty sure Makazze was their best player there. Uh, I get that you don't like that he's in these star roles, but he's doing pretty. I feel like he's definitely holding up his end of the bargain, uh, especially on the T sides for them. I don't know. I mean, I didn't see today's game because it's like fucking 3 a.m. for me or whatever, so I couldn't watch that one. But looking back at some of the stuff at Thunderpick versus especially Aurora and the Mongols, I mean, he was a big reason that they had a couple good maps against those kinds of teams. So I'm not I'm not calling for Makazze's head when he looks completely capable versus two teams that are arguably top 7 in the world, top 8 in the world, depending on how you want to rank Aurora. I yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think not. I'm having a problem with like figuring out what Navi's problem is one to like perfectly right now. I'm still not like dialed in as much as I should be, but I don't think Makazze is the guy today. If I were to move forward with any 3 people on the team, I think I would probably have to keep him, probably Alexi B and Bit. I think those are my first 3. I'd still keep Wonderful. I'd probably look towards Ema before anything else, unless they want to make Ema the IGL instead of Alexi B. That's probably its own hot take, but I'm not making that take today. I'm still looking into Navi.
The fact that you're saying he was so great for them in Thunderpig is crazy. They were 2-0 up. They lost 2-3 in the last 2 maps when they were up 2-1. He had 7-15 and 4-14 on the star rolls. On Dust 2
And
and 3.
and they were in the position to win because he was good.
When? On the 4th and the 5th map?
The first couple maps, like he was a reason they were good.
Yeah, but they didn't win, did they?
Okay, they wouldn't have beat Mongols if not for him. They
Do you
wouldn't
think
even
that
have been in the
if he
grand
played
finals.
better, if he played better in the 4th and the 5th map, would they won?
Would they even be in the grand finals if Makazze didn't carry versus the Mongols? He literally
Did he
carried for
really
them.
carry that much?
Yes, he did. He was definitely their best player in those maps.
From what I'm seeing here, it doesn't really look like that. The bottom line for me, like we can go into back.
He
and
was the
forth with it,
capable rifler against the.
He
I
wasn't a
don't
star player
I
of
don't
a
doubt
top
that
10 team.
Senzu's a better player. I think Senzu's a better player today than Makazze if he's not burnt out. But I'm not saying Makazze is like 3rd on my list of people I would cut from Navi to fix them today.
Do you think that Navi with Makazze as their star player right now, with any changes that you want to make, is a contender team for any of the big events?
No, but they shouldn't have even been a
Exactly.
contender for championships when they were winning championships. If you looked at their players 1-to-1, like with any other team, I mean, what was I looking at before? Like JL was their star player. Like that was them overperforming for what they had. But now it's just they've kind of, I don't know what the tactics have kind of, everybody's kind of learned enough about Navi that running what they used to run just doesn't seem like it's not catching anybody off guard anymore. So they have to, there's a little bit more head-to-head fighting for all their players, and it's just that they never were that good.
Yeah, because they have a bad star player.
That was JL that much better?
He was in the big moments.
He was better, but he was not that much better.
I mean, do you remember the big moments against B2 or what was it? It was B2.
Yeah, of course, like the Copenhagen
The
Major.
ancient game.
Yes, of course.
That's what you want from a star player.
Okay,
And Makazze is not that guy. That's just a fact. Based on his numbers, he's not that guy. Compare the numbers of JL and compare the numbers of Makazze. And then you'll see the difference. You will see the impact in the game. I'm not saying he's the only 100% problem, because there is problem in Ime, like I said, and there is a little bit of a problem in Wonderful. But with a better star player, the other players would elevate as well, because there would not be so much pressure on them. And then the Navi would look better. And that player is Senzu, which is by far much better player than Makazze is. And my light has died for some reason. I don't know why.
That's just a metaphor for what's going on with your life right now.
I know your take
Yeah,
now.
yeah. What's Thorn's take on this? Yeah.
My problem with this is, as usual, I think there's like a little bit on both sides. So the issue is this. I do think if he was available, so the problem is I think there's 50 ifs here. I don't think any of them are put. I'm sorry, I do also read into the whole like Mongols thing as he didn't just take a break from being on Mongols. He just doesn't want to play CS right now for whatever reason. Like the pressure of CS itself has gotten to him, and so that's why he's taken some time off. Blah blah blah. Look, I from the outside, it sounds mad to me. I'm not inside his head though, but I can't know what's going on. But to me, it looks mental because like. Bro, you're a Mongolian Counter-Strike star. Like, have you ever heard the saying, like, strike while the iron's hot? There might be no fucking iron or any heat next year. Like, for the rest of your career, you might just be like Ty Lue, mate. You might just be like one of the odd fluke runs and then just an irrelevant team. Like, by the way, the Jamyoung's pretty fucking good at Counter-Strike, but he has no chance, does he? So, the problem I have with this is you are taking for granted that Mongols will be here next year, will be relevant in that you can keep playing with them. So, if I assume he actually wants to play Counter-Strike, like he's available for this move, Navi definitely has the money that they could make the move happen. By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm so bored of dickheads who heard all that stuff like, oh, Mongols are supported by the Mongolian government, so they just assume that means they get loads of money. Like, what does that even mean? Like, right now, by the way, I would just assume they get like a bit extra, but not much more. I would be very surprised if that team's even big. No, I would doubt that team is even top fucking 10 paid, mate. I would imagine they're more like the tier 1.5. That's why I've always felt like they would be no matter what. And it's also, believe it or not, people don't like to hear this because it applies to Russians too. It's actually appropriate for the living standards of where you live. Like if you're making megabucks compared to a normal person, you will say yes to that job. So I also expect they don't make loads of money. So if Navi really wanted to and he wanted to move and he wanted to play again, obviously they're a team that should be able to make this work. They're also an international project. But it is way, if he was available, I do think he would be amazing on this team and that actually Blade would fucking have a great time with a player like that. I think he'd love an aggressive rifler like that. You could slot him straight into the team. The problem is, I just don't think it's actually plausible this move can happen. So if I had to put it this way, if you put a gun to my head, I think your chances to win the major go up if you have Senzu over makazze. The problem is, though, I feel I'm kind of a Maui. I feel like kassad went way too hard on makazze there. Like, first of all, the idea is the worst in the top 15. Bro, there are some teams in the top 15 that are like vaguely good. Like, you could say, like, again, some of them don't even have 2-star players, mate. So I could, like, who on 3D Max is better than makazze?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
No one's better.
They're
all weaker.
What about, like, Payne? Debatable if someone's better on that team, you know what I mean? There's not loads, but there's a few teams out where I look and I go, he's probably better than those players. I think, to me, when I bear in mind he's a rookie, on his end, I agree with Maui. I think he's done his job. I think he's been all right. Look, I do think he started a little bit hotter than he is right now. Like, right now probably is probably the best moment to kick him out the team. Like, maybe now he's had a couple of slip-ups, but in general, I've actually thought it was like a decent arrow going up, and it all works fine in that sense. My problem with that one is you already committed to it when you did it in the last off-season. As soon as you did this move, to me, you were committed to use him for a whole season, assuming he didn't completely fail. This isn't some Kersey scenario. I think he's been fine. I'm with Maui. I think he's done enough. I think the issue, actually, you're getting to here, kassad, is a bigger one, which is I have a theory that when a team fails like Navi did in Season 1, it isn't just one player. Like, one player wouldn't bring you down unless they were, like, literally the AWPer and they never hit a single AWP shot. They never bring you down that much. In my opinion, it's always at least two players because it's some fundamental issue within your team and your style of play that doesn't work anymore. So the real issue here is this. I'm with you that makazze isn't like the patch that covers all the other flaws in the team. That's, if anything, the issue Navi has, is they probably needed 2 player changes. Like, they probably did need to bring him and someone else in. Maybe it should have been wonderful. Maybe it should have been him. In that scenario, then, I think it'd be fairer. But I don't, put it this way, I agree, if I had to get one player, Senzu a pretty good, like, bring this guy in and you immediately get better. But so I don't mind that part of the take. I just don't think it's actually as fair on the makazze side. But again, it depends what Navi's mandate is. If they're allowed to just have a gamble on this major, it's fine. But if you're supposed to try and win this major, you probably should do the Senzu move if it's available. I think you were a bit too harsh on makazze, though. But this way, I don't know what his ceiling is. I get a little bit of a nervous, like, ultimate vibe of, like, he's sort of passed the first test, but is he actually world class? Yeah, I don't know about that. But I think he's not that bad. Especially, I wasn't watching Navi fucking Academy. I didn't know if this guy was good at all. So he's sort of impressed me to some degree.
The individual read I have on makazze right now is that he's a little bit. I don't know if he's always the trickiest. I don't know if he's always playing every situation to try to get to mind game the opponent, but I don't necessarily think that rookies are going to do that. I don't think Kyosuke is doing that. I think Kyosuke might be a bit more talented than Makazze, but he's definitely a solid pro.
You say a little bit more?
What? No, he's definitely okay. Kyosuke is definitely a better player than Makazze. I would just say that if I'm actually looking at macro decision making in a round, I don't know if I'm I think Makazze might actually make some better moves than Kyosuke's. Kyosuke's just taken the duels a little bit more, but maybe that's also my eye test of just seeing him win a lot of fights. So
And
it just feels like
by
he
the
puts
way,
himself in the fray all the time.
Even though it's just childish, I also did just enjoy where Kassad sort of like stumbled to find the words in English. He was like, and Dimmer, there's guilt in him too. Like, oh, fuck, who are you, Grand Inquisitor or something? The fuck's this? I know. Like, that's like one of these ESL skits. I know when they're doing confession, like, there's guilt in you, Dimmer. I sense it. Like some fucking Star Wars shit or something. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, Maui, I don't know which games are you watching, mate, but like I don't think you're watching Navi all that much. The thing is, like,
But it's
I didn't see the
because
today game. I didn't see the game
I am
today,
quite
so.
famous as not being a big HLTV rating fan, in the sense that I just don't think it's like the ultimate number that tells you what I think it means. It's a form of measurement. But all I'll say is, if you believe in the rating's pretty good for him, mate. Actually, like his rating against top 10 and top 5 is legit. So, but not that I'm a fan of that. I'm just saying though, if you are a stats fan, that does exist.
doesn't he have? I think in the trials 3 months against 0-5 against top 5 teams, he has 0 games, right?
No, there's
Zero?
We're talking about they played a bunch.
He
They
just
did
played Mongols.
semi-finals and shit.
He just
yeah.
beat Mongols.
Wait.
If you go to Navi and you do replace with lineup, and LAN, they've played something like 61 maps, and against top 5, he has a 1.12 rating on 15 maps.
1.12. Did
Yeah.
you say that?
Against top 5.
I'm looking at the last 3 maps, the last 3 months overall. His 3.0 is 109. Against
Wait,
all.
what?
I'm
No,
right on
Makazze-
this. I'm right on this. You've clicked the wrong tab somehow.
Wait,
Or you clicked event or
Makazze last 3 months versus top 5. I see 8 maps, 1.18 rating. That's what I see.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it doesn't show me. It shows me nothing. It shows me
Well,
maybe I clicked on the wrong thing.
Don't click.
Probably have it on
Don't click
event or
rating
something.
filter.
You probably stuck on events.
If you click ranking filter, then it needs both teams to be top 5.
Okay.
And Navi's not a top 5
They're
team.
just doing the thing at the bottom of his
I'll just
stats
put all.
page.
Then.
Yeah,
I'll
just
put
looking
all,
bottom.
then, and then it shows me 109. I mean, that should be enough, right? Or
Well,
not?
it's still a good rating.
Yeah, that's still
It's a
not
good
bad.
rating,
Like,
but
I'm not
it's a
trying to cut a
Navi.
guy.
I know.
It's not a Navi level rating. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. Like, that's a.
All right, I'll
get-
tell you
I get
what,
your point.
I'll give
your
it one
point.
chance.
Okay.
Here's where you messed up, Kassad, I can tell. You didn't stress enough the idea that you're basically saying Navi needs star players in a way they didn't have before. Like, put it this way, does he really essentially, does he have to be as good as Jail? Is that your logic?
The Navi star player?
Yeah.
Stronger than him, yes. Stronger than Jail.
Okay. If that's true, then Makazze isn't stronger than Jail. I'll give you that.
No, he's not. The thing is, like, Navi is an organization. Like I said, Navi is an organization. Navi is a team that's striving for victories, for semis. The Navi that has the best coach of all time, the funds, the beat in the anchor position, like one of the best to ever do it. Like, they need a stronger star player than Makazze. Makazze is not the guy for them. Senzu might be the guy, and it's closer to that guy than Makazze.
I think we get it, and 2, it's just not happening, is it? So it's also one of those takes that will never be tested. This is an unfalsifiable position. Maui, do you have a take for this episode? Oh no, wait, actually, before you do a take, maybe you can tell me.
First thing I have to say is that obviously, if you want to hear Kassad better, you should look into getting some Raycons. Okay, this message is sponsored by Raycon. And their everyday earbuds are actually on sale. Pretty sure it's if you use our code. And it's you actually can get up to 30% off Raycon products. The first thing I'm just going to say about these is that I find them really comfortable. I think that's first and foremost what I tend to enjoy most about them. But if you go to www.buyraycon.com/hot take, you can get a pair of your own everyday earbuds. They have the noise cancellation is really solid for airplanes. The 32 hours of battery life is something that trying them out on airplanes versus some other type of earbuds. I mean, that's just so long. Like sometimes I'm not going to say other competitors, I will have to charge them on my long haul flights, mid-flight. But these ones, I don't even think about the fact that they take battery. I'm almost like oblivious to the fact that I have to charge them again. So that's a huge benefit for me. It's got a quick charge. Every 10 minutes you charge, it gives you 90 minutes of playtime back. So I'd say the tech there is obviously extremely good. And yeah, all in all, wearing these on a plane, trying them out for a long haul flight, thought that the comfort was something. The comfort was so clear that was just like, oh, okay, I can fall asleep. And I did fall asleep wearing them. Not something I can say about every pair of headphones, every pair of earbuds. So yeah, check out Raycons. They come with a 30-day happiness guarantee. So if you don't love them, just return them. No harm, no foul.
There we go. Right. Maui, do you have a take?
Yes, I have a multi-layered take. One that is something you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention a little closely on this one. So, watching PGL Bucharest, watching CAC, I've been watching a lot of 3D Max in general. I've already made a take on them before. I think their tactics are great, but obviously, they don't have the best players. So, I have two takes in one. It's that on the other side, you have Aurora, who just won PGL Bucharest, and I think their tactics are pretty bad. I think they're very weak. I think they're some of the easiest to read of any team that's in the top 10. And so I have a proposition for you. So Aurora right now are ranked 7th in the world, and 3D Max are ranked 10th in the world. So the first side of this take is this. If you had Aurora's strats, but 3D Max's players, it would be a rank 30 team in the world. They would jump they would be so much worse. They would be so much worse. On the flip side, if you had 3D Max's strategies, but you had Aurora's players, you would have the third best team in the world.
Okay.
That's the take.
That's
the third best team in the world.
Yes.
God, we're ready.
You have a top 3 team.
Just
you have a
send
top
it already.
Team.
Just send it already. You know where you're going. Come on.
Are you fucking insane?
Yeah, you got anyway. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, you crazy? Like, what the fuck?
Trust.
Serious.
Trust.
Like, trust into something that can never be verified. Yeah, cool. It's like religion. But the thing is, like...
Unnecessary shot, but okay.
Okay, sure.
I mean, like... listen, I'll give you this one. The Aurora thing is absolutely true. Like, I was going to make a take that Meyer is the worst IGL in top 20. You know, by far.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there is anybody that's worse than him with the better pieces. Like, absolutely crazy. Like, this guy has like this power. I think that's a talent to call the most obvious thing, the most readable thing in the map that you can ever call. Right? Like, this guy is single-handedly stopping Aurora from being, you know, a proper contender. You know, and the worst part is that they don't have anybody else, or at least not yet. What he's doing, like, it's not just on a tactical level that he's calling bad. He's playing bad. Because he gets into this, he's leaving sites, randomly leaving sites, just to go in and make some sort of a intuition-based rotation, and ends up being in a position where it wouldn't matter if he was there or not. Like, he doesn't help, and he doesn't stay on the side. Like, everything that he does is terrible inside the game. And on top of the fact, he is pathetic. That he goes on Twitter, and he cries about every single thing. Posts tweets on Turkish, on English, on fucking Swahili. It's fucking crazy that what he's doing. Like, our hope, the last hope, are you fans. The same fans that fucking go crazy when they lose. He goes after it. This is because of you, because you trusted in us. We need you to, like, shut the up. Shut up. Like, go
get an
play.
offer.
Get like save the fucking motivational things for fucking locker room pre-game, whatever, if that works for you guys. Just don't kind of crying on the fucking Twitter every time you win or lose or whatever the fuck is going on. Like, shut the fuck up. What you're doing is crazy. He has a clutch or two somewhere in the fucking big tournament, and everybody thinks he's like, oh yeah, he saved them this time. And the fact that he ruined 55 rounds before that, nobody pays attention to that. Santares is a more than a solid player. Vicadia is a more than a solid player. Jota is a up and down. He can have like great maps, he can be stable, he can be reliable, but he has maps where he just goes and dies first every single time. Now, with that being said, with Aurora, there is also the blame to the players as well. Like if they see that he's calling something obvious, and what is the coach doing? What are the other players doing? Maybe you can communicate like, hey, maybe this is not the best thing to do in these situations. Maybe when I have an opening to go and swing here to kill two, maybe I don't need to wait for us to set up on a fucking 67 positions and do the obvious fake and just go into a stack and die. So I'll give you that about Aurora. When it comes to 3D Max, these people are, I don't know. I don't know what to think about them. Because they have one event where they look like they can beat anyone. Like they look as a unit, as a team, as a, nobody stands out in good or a bad way. They're just a team, right? They play well. And then they show up an event looking like bums, like this one. Like looking like they don't even belong in the top 30, let alone in top 15 or 10 or whatever the fuck. They are now what, 10th? Did you say that on HLTV? Yeah.
There's Aurora 7th, 3D Max are 10th.
With this like type of inconsistency, no matter what the tactics have or the players have, you cannot take anything from them to put into another team. That's the answer to your hot take, right? They're just inconsistent. Like they have proven nothing, except that they can maybe sometimes be good, right? When some things align. And we don't know what are those things. Like how can they play so good on one event and then go out and play so bad on the next three, or the other way around? Like it just has no consistency. You cannot read them properly. I don't know who am I playing against. They don't know who are they playing with. Like it seems to me that like they have issues with identity there. I don't even know what's their best map right now. Like they seem to play that nuke all over the place. Then they play bad nuke. I don't understand myself. So combining those two, you will just get a fucking mess. Because it's just, for me, like there is no consistency enough in both of these teams to make a top 3 team, whatever you mix together.
This is why when you had that period at the beginning of this year where this team and Mongols were in the same position, they were the team that you knew would make the playoffs, but they always fucked up the playoff against anyone except each other. That was the joke, right? The reason why on this show, a bunch of us did takes of like, right, Mongols are legit, they can be good. They did since proven to be, but Aurora's the one that won. They're the ones that are like sort of plateaued and they won't be able to go beyond this. And I think we were completely right. And the reason why, unfortunately, another reason why is the map pool angle. Bro, this guy had 2 maps, Vertigo and then Anubis, that he put 1 billion hours into, and they specialized, and it did actually give you an angle, especially the Anubis one, because less people have permitted that. It did give you a chance against anyone in a BOX. Now, what's funny is they almost have the same chance, it feels like, against the top teams. They just actually now, this proves they can't be better, because now that they don't have like the map to rely on, I agree, I didn't even think in the map pool they have a way fucking harder time. This is another team that can easily lose their map pick, by the way, to the other team. But then because they've got such skilled players, hence the point being made, they can just win the other team's map pick. Because I actually think people don't realise almost what's fucked Madja is the level the team is at now. If this still was that you're a team that like just gets out of the group stage, because remember, both Mongols and this team in the past used to just be a team that would stop at the group stage, then people can just believe it's other factors. The whole team's choking. Oh, the star player didn't play well. No, every other factor seems to be there for Aurora, except the calling. And crucially, the area that this comes up the most notably is that Madja is the anti-Carrigan. He always has the fucking silver call at the 29th round. I'm saying 29th round because that was Launder's thing, was the golden call at the 20th. So whatever, say like, let's say in this case, the fucking 23rd round, right? He has the silver call at the 23rd round. Like, I think this last final showed it the worst. Because think about even the drop in the context of the examples I'm going to give. Last year, they had that one, was it Pro League, where they should probably have beaten NAVI. They had NAVI on the ropes in that final when NAVI was number 1 team and they let NAVI get it. This time, they almost did that, but with legacy, bro. Notice how I didn't say NAVI number 1 team. They almost did that with a team that's like glad to even be in the final. They almost gave them that fucking final. It's fucking insane how badly they close out. And by the way, that should have been 3-0. They had them right on the ropes at 3-0. You just put them away. And unfortunately, this is a pattern. It's not just like individual maps. This even happens in the big matches in tournaments. How many times, I've put it this way, off the top of my head, I'm going purely off vibes here. I feel like if I was to go back and look how many times a top 5 team, which at one point in time this team was in like a big semi-final and they were the favourite and lost, I'm sure Aurora would be number 1. I'm pretty sure they would have lost the most times, because I've seen them in loads of these like more tier 1.5 fields where they just don't make the final even, bro. And I'm like, what? At the beginning of the tournament, you're like top 2. Like, these should be the ones where you just walk there, and if anything, people should be hating on you at the end, like, hey, it's just because, you know, Vitality and Spirit wasn't there. No, they don't even fucking sometimes make the finals of these events. So I agree. I actually do think this is one of the most extreme examples I've ever seen of where the main problem just seems to be the IGL. The problem I have is this. As usual, the hot take part that he's cooked with is the 3D max. But I don't believe that part. Here's the problem. That's the problem I have there. If you'd have said some other squad that was more like, you know, like a little bit of tactics and some of that, because the problem is, I do think one angle that Madja has correctly identified with his team is I don't think it's either within the temperament or, I'll carefully phrase this, let's say how cerebral the players are. I don't know that they could actually run 3D Max's playbook, Maui. That's my problem, basically. Like, I even think of some of the players in their team. Mate, I still think the maddest thing about Xantares going to Big Clan all those years ago wasn't that he went to an international team. It's that he went to Big Clan. That's like fucking actually that's like being someone who was like, you know, a bad kid who didn't focus in school, and you now try to go to like an elite postgraduate fucking course where you have to do all your own homework and fucking read massive textbooks. Like, that's not the Xantares game, bro. His game really is like, shut the fuck up and let me just Ferrari peek this corner. I shot 2 dickheads in the head. Shall we go on the bomb site, sir? That's fucking Xantares game. I don't know that I want him running fucking some 3D Max push and pull dynamic on Inferno, you know. And then also, same thing with Woxic. Mate, Woxic, how do you think you end up in all those clutches as the AWPer, bro? That just means you're off in fucking Narnia for the first 40 seconds of the round, do whatever you want, and then you just turn up at the end when they've all been shot in the bomb site. That works. You're really good at it. But I don't know that, again, in my tactics, I imagine you'd be more of a central role, you know, the game opens up around you. Traditional way, tactically, you play around an AWP. So in their team, I actually sort of feel like they want to play a bit looser, basically. That's why I've always said, I have a similar take, but I make it meaner and spicier. I always say, anyone who watches FaZe Clan and you're talking shit on Carrigan, bruh, let me wake up tomorrow in some Freaky Fridays body swap scenario where Carrigan is now Madja. Forget fucking be better. They'd win the major, mate. If you give Carrigan this roster of players and he can speak to them in their language, he would, this like loose style, he would just win the major, mate, because he'd do all the same shit, but then he'd make all the golden calls, and that's the one where you would get Xantares in the site and then win from the 3v2 or whatever. I think so. Essentially, I sort of agree with the point overall, and I don't mind 3D Max, by the way, as the example of like the nerd tactical team but who don't have this good skilled players, and that framing is good. I just think in terms of like literal style, they probably overcook on like tactical elements to make up for lack of skill that you'd probably. So if we made a compromise, if we like took the 3D Max one and then I'll just be rude here, are you ready? You know, here's the banter. Are you ready? Even in my cold, I found the banter. You know, they say explain it like I'm 5. Are you ready? No, we're gonna take 3D Max's playbook and explain it like you're Pasha. If you could do shout out Pasha, legend of the scene. Then if you could, I'll tell you what, he was. Listen, wait a minute. I'll take that back. I'm not even going to apologise for that. Do you think Pasha was ever sat around reading fucking Dostoevsky or something, or going like, this Lord Byron put? He didn't fucking know. He wasn't doing any of that, was he? He wasn't even. He probably barely read the fucking thing on the MVP medal. He went, yeah, it's man, cheers. Like, he ain't fucking kidding. So anyway, point is, if you could explain the 3D Max playbook like they were Pasha, then I think Aurora could do it, and I agree with Maui. They'd be a better team. By the way, they actually would for real be like dark horse to like win everything in Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
I'm not even trolling. Like, I actually think the craziest thing about this project, considering I do agree all the splashback is going on Madja, is Mate, who knew that Turkish Counter-Strike could have an all-Turkish land that looks like it could actually win everything in Counter-Strike? Like, this team on paper should be able to win the major. It's fucking bonkers. So I agree with you. I know what you mean. I get where the take comes from. I will say, you have opened yourself up to the most abuse ever. Although that's one last thing I want to make. I want to make a last point just as a sort of piece of food for thought in case an Aurora player or Madger sees this. Here's why I agree with Kassad. I actually find it disgusting the way you just like constantly fucking manipulate your fans emotionally by apologising to them after every loss. By the way, do that after the major, sure. Do that after a big final that you lose. Don't do it after every elimination, bro. You do that when you come like last place. Like it's fucking.
They did it when they won a game.
Yeah,
they won a
hate
game.
it.
They won when they actually won the game versus Strauss in the quarterfinals, but because it was against Rugga and they barely won, he actually was apologizing after, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy has. It's just
crazy.
It's just
crazy.
The level of pandering is absurd.
And here's the point I'm going to make. This is a serious point, so I'm actually going to phrase it very carefully. Madger himself also does a different type of personal post. He often mentions his family. He has a child, he has a wife. I don't know if it's a wife technically, but he has a partner and he has a child, right? I'll just say this, Madger. You do know none of us could make the post you just made right there. If we made our post saying about us having a child or a wife, your fans would say outrageous things about our wife and our child. So I hope you can just consider that is your fan base that you are fucking rallying around, you are fucking feeding into. So that is a part that I do notice. It must be nice to have Turkish privilege, mate, because we don't get that. If we ever posted that, we would get the most outrageous shit said about our families. So enjoy being able to do that. But yeah, sort it out, mate. Just get your shit together. Also, the worst thing about this is this, bro, you don't even have to go hard. Just if you just elevate your game 5%, you could win everything, literally in Counter-Strike. Not at the same time, obviously, as in like you wouldn't be Vitality, but you could win any individual tournament. You could win the major. If you're just 5% better at calling, you could win the major. It's possible.
Hey guys, surprise! It's Monte Cristo here. I know I'm never on the Counter-Strike content, but thanks a lot for watching Hot Take Point Made and LFN. We have a new sponsor today on the show, and that is, of course, Mint Mobile. And Mint Mobile, you might be tired of overpaying for wireless these days. And if you're like me, you're constantly on public Wi-Fi networks using your ExpressVPN, of course. But if you guys are on these Wi-Fi networks all the time, why are you paying for these massive cellular bills? With Mint Mobile, it gets high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and it's all delivered on the nation's largest 5G network anyway. So it's a great opportunity to cut your bill. Now, for me, when I go back to America, I'm signing up for Mint Mobile because it will allow me to use the service while I'm there. And also, Mint Mobile has international plans. If you travel internationally frequently like I do, you can just go ahead and buy data on daily passes. So you can get say a 10-day pass when you travel abroad. So it becomes very, very convenient as well. Plus, you can just switch your number over with an eSIM. Makes it easy so you don't even have to get a physical device if your phone has eSIMs with it. So you can ditch your overpriced wireless and their jaw-dropping monthly bills, unexpected overages, and hidden fees. The plans start at just $15 per month. So it's a great product, you guys, provides you the same coverage, just at a more reasonable price. So are you guys ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/hot take. That's HOTTAKE. That's mintmobile.com/hot take. Upfront payment of $45 is required, which is the equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on the unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Okay.
What's next? Do
you want to do another fan take? Let's do one more fan take. Yeah, but I'll do my take after this one. We'll do 2 takes and we'll wrap after this. Right, here's because this one's an interesting one. So Flo says, you guys should bring on guests instead of doing community takes. And then he put, yeah, I know, kind of ironic since this is a community take. He put, I get that you've probably already talked about it and decided against it. The chemistry between you three is honestly the best part of the show. And it's rare to have a setup that works this well, this long, without guests. But still, just take a second and imagine Kassad arguing with Yanko, for example. I mean, it just doesn't get more entertaining than that. Then you start thinking about other possible guests and just realise it could make for really entertaining stuff. For me, at least, that'd be way more fun to watch than the community takes segment, which usually doesn't hit the same. Thoughts, boys? Should we have guests on? Is he right?
The thing is, like, I see what he's saying by like having another person with like crazy opinions and arguing and like debating like what we think and stuff. The only like I don't know how would it work with 4 people and because when I did it with you, the 4 horsemen thing once, and it's not the same when you have 3 people and 4 people. Like it's a very different dynamic, and you rarely get to hit.
I mean, sometimes you can go half an hour with not talking. You just sat there, right? You just have to wait for the others to talk. Yeah, true.
Exactly what I was going to say. It's hard to find like it's easy to find the moment to speak, but at the right moment to speak in a sense, right? You have the right thing to say, and there is a moment that it's good to say it, but somebody else is speaking, and there's too many people, and you cannot fit it in properly, and that's where it loses value on entertainment, because it could be much more entertaining, if you actually said that instead of like letting somebody else speak, but that somebody was already in the middle of the whole point and you cannot really interrupt it. So with 4 people, with a 1.5 hour long, it would be a little bit crowded in a sense, right? That's how it would feel to me. I don't have anything against a guest here and there. I'm not just sure how would it work for everyone,
Okay.
We just got to make sure it's the right kind of guest. I mean, I feel like there's a pretty short list of people in the space that would work on the show. Like, for example, we wouldn't get the same people. On Snake and Banter, sometimes we're getting a person that's just getting their feet wet in the space. They've had a couple good pieces of content, whether those are articles or YouTube videos, or they're a tier 2 caster or something. But for somebody to be on Hot Take Point Made, my short list would be Richard, Pimp, Launders, Yanko. I mean, I think actually all the talking counter guys could handle being on it probably, but you know what I mean? It's pretty much just that.
Not Jason. No, not Jason.
Maybe chuck in some Donna, some a little bit of edge, something like that.
Yeah.
Overdrive.
You would just get mad at us and call us ugly haters.
That's true.
So
True.
Maybe not. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, there's just only a handful of people, so it would be okay. It's just that if we made it a guest every now and then, we'd kind of run out of guests pretty quickly.
Yeah, basically, I actually agree with Maui, the strongest on that. The problem is, first and foremost, one thing he's missing is it's way easier to schedule a show with the same exact 2 people every week. If you add a guest in, it's one of the reasons why most of my shows aren't live on Twitch, because I can't know what day and what time the show's going to be, and so it doesn't make any sense to have a random moving live schedule. You need that schedule to be on the same day at the same time, so people get trained of like, right, Friday night I watch this, Tuesday at 6 p.m. And if you don't do that, that doesn't even work as a method. And then also, I created this show. I think I've told this story in the past. The third person wasn't going to be Kassad. It was actually going to be Pimp. It's just we had some issues getting the show off the ground. And then I just thought, right, let's try Kassad. I think he could do a good job in that role. But the reason why...
History was made.
Also, but it was actually better in that case too.
Yeah.
I mean, we just didn't know.
Kassad just crazy.
Listen, we just didn't know that, like, essentially, if anyone knows a British reference here, hopefully no one does, then it'll just go over their heads. Don't worry, boys. It's a bit like when Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais found Carl Pilkington. When they found Carl Pilkington, they knew they'd hit gold. And a load of great podcasts came on. Just look on YouTube if you want to know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
I know exactly.
Don't worry about it. You're my CS Carl Pilkington.
So funny.
I know. So you're that's the role you're playing for me. So I just want to show you off to the world. No, so first of all, it was actually inadvertently better. That was obviously God made Pimp not able to do it. And then also, I will just say, the reason I was going to make the show for Pimp is because at the time, Pimp, look, he's figured it out now, but he was having a really hard time at exactly that time in his career, figuring out how do I have a spicy take that's not boring, but then also, if I do a spicy take, how do I not get hated on 24/7 for doing like a stimulating take to make people think, like I've always told people, essentially what made me think of this show was that famous take Pimp did during the pandemic when Simple was like hard carrying and winning like every nuke CT side by himself. And then Pimp's take on a blast desk was, we have to ask ourselves the question, is Simple the problem in NAVI? Which was just like making people's heads just like like and snap off and go 360, because that was probably the more. Look, I'll always say this: it's maybe the hottest take ever. It's also one of the worst hot takes I've ever heard ever in the history of Counter-Strike, because that's like saying maybe Wayne Gretzky is the problem in the Oilers. It's like, I don't know about that really. I'd say it's pretty fundamental to them being an amazing team. So anyway, the point is to say I actually think a lot of people couldn't handle being on this show. That's why when you guys made the list there, it wasn't just immediately 50 people. It was like 7 people that make sense. Because to come on this show, you have to simultaneously be willing to like be bold and do some crazy takes every now and then. But you also have to know that unfortunately there is going to be that fan that doesn't understand the concept of the show and just takes it that you just said that as for all of history, and that's what you're saying will happen, which isn't even true sometimes. Like some of these are almost like crazy bets on what's possible in an alternate timeline, aren't they? So I think unfortunately, even though it sounds great, I'll give the analogy. It's why actually most people can't do banter on the desk, because it sounds great to tell them do banter, be funny, but the problem is if they fuck up, and it's going to happen eventually if you try and make funny jokes and they say an inappropriate or offensive thing, it's going to ruin their career and the fucking broadcast, unfortunately. So even though it sounds great to have loads of your favourite personalities come on this show and give crazy hot takes, bro, I can already put it this way, we all get hated on anyway for our takes on Hooksy and Snacks and people like that, right, mate? There's people in the community in the green room would have crazy takes like us, but they don't want to get hated on by fucking Aurora fans or fucking Ziwu stands. Like they just want to live in the fucking quiet. They want to live in Hobbiton where it's quiet and there's butterflies going past, and they just get to live their life. Not everyone's built for this. Not everyone's built. Even though I agree, but this way, I'll tell you what, I actually agree with Kassad though. Here's the difference. Look, this is not in any way some sort of like, who will rid me of this troublesome priest? But if for some reason one of you two died, touch wood, it doesn't happen until you're very old men and have had an excellent career and achieved all your dreams. But if one of you's died, especially soon, again, don't want it to happen, but if it happened, it's reality. You've got to face it. I've soldiered on personally. I wouldn't just give up everything. If one of you dies, then I think if there was only me and the other one, and then a guest could be an appropriate third person, because I don't know who the third person would be permanently. So, but I also agree, lastly, with that point as well. The list would run out way quicker than you realise. Like, put it this way, the list Maui gave, that would be fire. It would be great to have a Launders episode, and then a Donna episode, and then a fucking Richard Lewis. Yeah, that would be great. The problem you're missing is this, guys. Think about Snake and Banter in the shows I do with guests. It's just the episode where like Alan Hender comes on. You're going to be like, no, well, this is a 6 out of 10 take. It's just not going to be that sick, is it? You know what I mean? We're quickly going to get to the point where it's like, probably shouldn't have invited this German Counter-Strike coach on. He has absolutely shit takes. Like, yes, you want to take number 7? He might be number 6. Yeah, all right, mate. Calm down, Heinz. Maybe not. So the point is, you would run out of guests. You wouldn't have as many as you want. It wouldn't work, boys.
Real question is like, would the show continue if you died? Hypothetically.
Here's the problem. On the one hand, I'd like to think it would, because I'd like to think in my memory you'd try and continue it. But I think in some ways, every episode would just be a bitter reminder that there was never anyone quite like me in esports. For good or for ill. I'll just put that part in at the end there. For good or for ill.
All right, what's your take?
My take. Are you ready? This is a spicy ass take, right? Here's the problem. This is all I'm about to give you an example in real time of why everyone can't do this show. Because Maui, you thought you were just sitting there listening to me give the final take of the show, and then we all just go off to our. No. You're literally now being suspended onto a tightrope, and they are disconnecting your safety rope, and there is no net below you, Maui. So I'm going to give my take, and my take can be wild. You're going to have to be really careful where you step, son. So all right, it's all good. Let's just see how he does it. He's made it through so far, guys. I've made a bunch of takes about PGL and stuff like that. Here's the take. I won't necessarily go super specific. I'll give Maui that grace. But I actually hate the hiring of this recent major. And so I'm actually the talent for it. But I'm not going to make it specific to the specific people I don't like. Because again, I think that's like, one, that just makes it unnecessarily harsh for Maui. And then two, it's also a bit rude beyond the ones that have been personally rude to me. Like, put it this way, there's people on there I don't have a problem with personally. I just don't think they're the best at their job. And I think there's people who are better at it. So I will make this a more generalised point, not actually specifically about the Star Ladder Budapest one, but about majors in general, which is I do think in theory the person who bids and gets the major should get the majority of the say in who is hired as the talent for that major. If they personally, I'll give you an obvious example. Let's say, I don't know how many pairs of casters you would hire, but let's say they get to that 4th casting pair and they would rather the one that gets missed out is, let's say, Dinko and Moses instead of, I don't know, Harry and Hugo, because obviously there's only so many casting pairs out there. You can make a choice between them, and I can accept and respect your choice. If you pick the other one, maybe I prefer one of those pairs, maybe you prefer the other. That's a legit choice. My problem is some of the people that you get hired for these majors, not always in the casting role, I'll say it's pretty stacked. If you look at analyst and host, sometimes you get people where I'm just like, bro, did like 7 people turn you down? What? How is this the name? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, that's not even like a debatable thing. That's like you've picked someone where in certain major cases, you wouldn't even use that person on your event, and then you're putting them on this one now, or you'd have had them as the person when, say, like a famous player or analyst said, I can't do the event, or I can't go to that country or get the visa, you'd bring him in as the backup. Why is he on your major? So essentially, my point is this. I do think there needs to be some kind, I know this is a very fucking elusive topic I'm about to bring up, there needs to almost be some kind of a standard for who you hire for these majors, because unfortunately, I'm just going to say, I think some were just nepotism where people have hired people that they think are good, but like no one else seemingly does. And that makes me wonder, like, do you think they're good just because you like them and they're your friend? That's my obvious concern. And then the other one is, I'm sorry, this is the one that I'm actually really bothered about, is if you run a major, it's one thing if you're running your event and then you just lowball the last guy and he gets in on a third or a half of whatever else. For a major, though, for the world championship of the game, we're going to hire someone at the end. And this is not just this one, by the way. I've heard many majors this has happened at. You're going to hire the last guy who on the event it's going to look like is equal to all your other analysts and casters and hosts. You're going to hire that guy and he's going to get half of what everyone else gets, just so your budget is constrained and you can afford to pay, you know, the extra 100 to this guy and get this guy. I think that's just a bit gross for people working the tournament, because in my opinion, when you work the World Championship, that is like you, the TO, saying, see this rubber stamp, I'm giving my seal of approval. This is one of the best people in the whole world in Counter-Strike. This person right now can do the World Championship for the sake of not only today, but posterity, and they can do an awesome job. And you know what? Even if you don't think they're good enough, I promise you, they're going to hit it out the park, 10 out of 10, and you're going to, at the end of the major, go, what a great hire. I just don't, this one, it's not that everyone on this one, obviously, I think Maui's a great hire tech. I could go through most of the list. It's all pretty good people. But I do think this just reminded me of one of my issues, which is I've seen this happen a bunch of times. Like, we can go back into the 2010s, this was happening. So essentially, I wish there was like some standards, because I think sometimes some of these majors, it's not even that they just don't make sense. You just look at it and you're like, bro, I know 5 people right now who'd say yes, who are better than these people. Like, why aren't they on the event? The obvious one for this one, and it's been my problem in a long time, is I actually don't understand at this point in time how many times Yanko has been turned down for fucking majors, bro. Like, this guy's never done anything political. He's never done a single like scandal in terms of opinion. As far as I can tell, he's just one of the most beloved people ever on broadcast. Always does like a minimum 8 out of 10 job. Never phoned it in, as far as I can tell, at least not on a tier 1 event. I don't get what this, because here's the thing, if you ask why I'm not on majors, mate, I've done all sorts of wars with fucking TOs. I've had the most outrageous opinions in Counter-Strike and takes, but Yanko's had none of that, and he still misses fucking most of them anyway. So I want to see, listen, probably more of a kassad topic, but Maui can give some sort of an abstract take.
I'd like to go first just because I feel like kassad can get angry about what went on with the hires. I'm going to just give some sort of statement, facts / light opinions, but it's not really like I'm digging into it, because all of these people, everybody at the Budapest major is going to be my colleague. So it's not ever in my best interest to just say this guy deserves it, this guy doesn't deserve it. Okay, so a few things here, all right? So the first is that my sentiment regarding the major is that I would want the major's broadcast talent hires to represent the last 1 to 2 seasons of who's put in the work, who's put in great work, and people that have given enough to the space that it feels like it's merited. It should be a merit hire for who's brought onto this broadcast, because in a celebration of World Championship Counter-Strike, I want the people there who have been telling the story of the teams that are also in attendance for the last 1 to 2 seasons. The only exception for this, if it is an incredibly vetted broadcast talent who maybe has lightly distanced themselves from the space, but we all know has the capability to do it because we've seen them on the past succeed in the role. So that's what I would do if I was hiring for this kind of thing. The next thing I would say is that having talked to different TOs in the past, unfortunately, we aren't in a space like Dota where Valve has a say in who is hired for these events. I don't know if people know that behind, like, that are fans of the space, but it is entirely up to the TO that wins the bid for the event to make the hiring process. And that's why, actually, one thing that notably we don't have in Counter-Strike that is in Dota is talent autographs, which is kind of like their form of signatures, and talent voice lines, which if people didn't play Dota, during the game, you can just spam emotes, essentially, like voice emote sounds, and you could get your favorite talent, like Sir Action Slack, saying something crazy in the game, and everybody's going to hear it, and everybody laughs or whatever, or you just use it to troll your team or your opponents. Either way, they wouldn't do that in Counter-Strike because it's not Valve who has their fingers in the hiring process here. Another fact about this is that if you want to even go further on the hiring process, this is I'm not really trying to garner sympathy. Again, this is the decision by StarLadder. Have to respect the decision. I have talked to them about it. The casters who weren't hired for this portion, would talk to them about it. I am not working the playoffs of the major. I'm not. Also, there's 2 caster pairs that are not working the playoffs of the major.
Okay.
There's also another analyst who is not working the playoffs of the major. I also think one of the desk hosts is not working the playoffs of the major. They're cutting the whole staff in half there. This is just an objective fact of what's happening with StarLadder on this portion of it. So there is kind of like a delineation between who's in and who's not for the playoffs of it. Kind of like what happened at Shanghai, actually, if people remember that, where only 2 caster pairs flew over to the event in Shanghai, just Scrawny Launders and Sponge and Machine. The other caster pairs did not actually get to participate. The last thing I would say is that if people didn't watch the latest episode of Talking Counter where Yanko was snubbed from the major hires, he talked about it. I think his words spoke really loudly to me. It's just that he said that in the recent years, it's been kind of eye-opening to figure out that there's a lot of politics that go on, as opposed to my vision and what Thorne outlined as his vision for major hires. The hires for the every major are more about your relationship with the TO. I never personally worked with StarLadder prior to this, but for whatever reason they deem fit, they thought that I was a good fit for them. But I don't think it really is much of a surprise. And again, this is just me speaking factually about this with no shame to StarLadder or anything. The 3 people they hired for their previous Star Series event in the fall were the 3 analysts that were hired for this, and Pimp, Devilwalk, and Ted. True. I was the only inclusion beyond the original 3 that they had there. So, I mean, it's kind of about your relationship with TOs in a way that you probably wouldn't want it to be. You probably would. I personally, like I said, I would want the major hires to be who has contributed to the scene in the most positive way or effective way or engagement heavy way that would make the role. I mean, to be befitting of the role. So those are my takes on that without saying anything about individuals on the hiring.
Go on, kassad.
Well, first of all, you said a whole lot of nothing.
Right. He's being political. He's trying to carefully say it when he.
I'm working with all these people, kassad. Like, I'm not going to just say. I'm not going to say Launders sucks. I'm not going to say Launders just.
I thought he did a good job.
I'm just kidding. Everybody knows I like Launders a lot.
You just said a whole lot of nothing, and it's kind of. It's my problem that it pisses me off. It's not your problem, obviously, right?
Go on then.
The thing is, like, we are talking about the 2 single people here, and it's like Duncan. You see how nice he actually is. A nice person, right? He puts you on the spot, Maui, a little bit, but he is actually a nice person. He didn't say any names. He avoided all these things because he's a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy. I am a normal guy.
By the way, this is the nightmare cop duo. I'm the good cop in this equation. Okay.
I'm like the angelic political cop.
The lineup, it's just criminal. It's just criminal to me that, like, we have Ted and Devilwalk there, right? Listen, I have nothing personally against Ted. I know the guy. He's Bulgarian. Spoke to him multiple times. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure, but we are not hiring nice guys. This is a major. This is fucking elite level event for the end of the year. I want, as a viewer, and everybody want elite product, elite broadcast. Something that you're not gonna mute or walk away, right? This is what we want. Do we agree on that one, at least?
Yeah. You want the world championship to be the best. That's what I was saying earlier. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
I even tweeted, who's gonna hype me more for the game between Bait and Legacy in 2-2 stage 1 more? when there is a segment on the desk? Is it going to be Duncan and Yanko or Ted and Devilwalk? Who is going to make me watch that game between those two pairs? I know what I'm saying, despite the stupid trolls on Twitter that just like to say shit without fucking reason. That's the thing. And it should be elite event. They were in the Star Series, where it was Budapest, right? A couple of months back. That's fine. Great. Give them more opportunities like that. In 2026, if you have more events, invite them more. Give them opportunities to grow into a personality that's going to present the major as a fucking elite event to the people watching it. Not a rookie guy that has to be like on his second event to be the major. I personally worked 3 years before I got a shot at the major as an analyst. And I got the 2 stages and didn't even get the playoffs in Rio. Did I ever complain? Never. Not internally, not in the fucking public, like some people in the fucking talent pool are doing these days. And this is fucking ridiculous to me. And the way they involve politics into this is absolutely crazy. Like, if they went and said, like, I'm just going to call people out, right? We have Ted and we have Devilwalk. Those are nowhere near a major level event. People. Like, you have Yanko, you have even Ble. Where is this guy? This guy is good on the desk.
He's done a lot of majors too.
He speaks fluent English. He can commentate. He can analyze. He has an opinion, a stronger opinion when needed. He can argue. He went through this all like smaller events. Why is he not there? Wouldn't he be a better fit? If you went to all these people that missed out and told them, hey, listen, we have a budget of this kind for this major. We would love you to have you here. We can afford to pay you this much. So we can include the best talent in the fucking space to do this major. I am sure people like Yanko, people like Maui, people like Pimp, and everybody else would decrease their price of a daily fee just to have the better experience for themselves and for the viewers. Am I right when I say that, Maui? Would you compromise on the price?
It would be nice if the way that they held these kinds of discussions was a little bit more open, because I'll talk about, this is not something I'm going to say going into an event. Like I'll talk about the hiring stuff on a podcast probably after the event or something like that. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to show everything immediately.
What I'm saying is, like, if they went the right way about it, we would have the desk analyst and the fucking whole talent pool be elite level again, and we would all enjoy the star ladder, right? We have 8 casters right now, and we have 4 analysts, and we have 3 hosts. Like, surely there was space for 2 more analysts, no? Surely there was a budget for 2 more analysts instead of getting a super high tech hotel with this and that. There was cuts or like rearranging the routes of the money so you can get the better product for the fucking people that are gonna be watching it. I'm sure there was a way. Do we need 3 hosts? No, I don't. Do we need 8 casts? I don't know. Like, there is so many questions around this, and it's like, again, I can't stress this enough. Ted is a nice guy. I have nothing against the guy. Like, he can develop into something good probably, but you need to have the right way about it. You cannot just chuck a guy that's going to be shitting his pants on the major, and then says the most random shit, even though he's thinking something else. And then people are going to go, oh, this Ted guy, oh, this, right? That's the wrong way. You're not doing him any favors there. And I don't give a fuck about the rubber stamp of approval. Who the fuck is Star Leader? The last fucking major they had was 6 years ago. They disappeared. Like, they have no credibility anymore. It's a whole new ownership structure as well. It's not Panda and the other guys that were fucking great. I had a perfect relationship with them back when I was in competitive space. Right now, a whole different set of people. Like, the people are like, they're going for the loyalty. They had these 3 people in the star ladder, but that has nothing to do with loyalty. It has to do with business. right? And the performance. The whole industry is based on performance. Same way it goes for the fucking talent pool. If somebody is better than me, he should be there instead of me while I get my shit together and I'm better than him. Or at least same as him. Not because I was invited the last time. Or because I accepted 500 euros per day and the other guy didn't. That shouldn't be the criteria. Because the money is there. So yeah, I have a very strong opinion on that one, and the most of the talent is okay, especially Sam, Tech Girl, and Freya. I do love those two. It's just like both of them are great in their own way. Banks.
By the way, on that one, I can even say the same thing. To me, just like Yanko gets missed on, what Richard can never even be considered for Starladder. What is he? He's hosted loads of events now. It feels like he's set for PGL. He's never going to get in the mix somehow. So no, I just find. And by the way, here's the reason why the Starladder one. I know why Maui's right. Like obviously, I understand it means they've picked those people, but the problem is that Star Series event ran at the same time as Fisher Playground, which was the better event. So you've also, in theory, hired the people who probably didn't get offered Fisher, so I think that one's a little bit tricky if you do like the napkin math of if it makes sense. But whatever. Anyway, I thought, put it this way, it's not as hot a take on my end, but I thought it was a spicy conversation. That'd be a fun one to trigger.
It's a great conversation. I think it triggered a lot of like controversy.
I think so.
It happened before, but it happens now. It's just nonsense for me. I don't care about myself personally. I'm out of that spaces.
Put it this way, the Yanko one I always purposely pick because I feel like that's like the least debatable one. It's like when you do the Player of the Year award thing, right? In theory, I might have my differences, but in theory, last year you could have picked any of those three. You could have Zewu, John Cole, Modesty. They were all fucking amazing last year's players. As long as you pick one of those three, I'm fine with who you pick as Player of the Year. But the move Starladder did was if you said Gel was the Player of the Year. It's like, what? No, like that can't. No. Like in that case, I'm annoyed because it can't be. It's got to be one of the because the same thing with Yanko. You might not if you don't think Yanko's the best, surely he's top three. Top three is all I'm saying, or fourth, yeah. Like, come on, top four at least, come on, be reasonable. And I do feel like if you, I also think a bit like players as well. What incentive is there now? Like when you work in the scene, I think if you do great work, you get rewarded by getting the major. I think that's just a look. By the way, I understand if Yanko. This is why I picked Yanko as well. He hasn't had any scandals. He hasn't talked shit on Starladder as far as I know, like trashed him in any way. So I also don't get why he gets ghosted in that sense. I don't get it. I don't get what's going on.
Duncan, I guarantee you, with my fucking life, if they asked him to cut his fee in half, he would accept it. Okay, just to be the part of the major. 100%.
Okay.
He would do it. The thing is, like, you said it yourself, the example with Richard Lewis. Richard started doing events again with PGM, right? And he's doing a great job. Like, I love watching him, like, talk about shit. You know, he has a nice way of, presenting things when they needed to be presented in a certain way, right? Either they hyped it up or, like, address a certain subject or, like, presented the whole way like it needs to be done as a host. For example, like for me, Banks can't do that. He's not that guy. He's not a host. He's a snake. He's the biggest snake.
We almost got out the episode. We almost got out safe right at the end.
What?
At the end, snake emojis in the chat, lads. Snake emojis. Let's get around to Banks. Snakes in the chat. So. Whatever, listen, no one else on this show co-signs that opinion. That is Kassad's opinion.
No.
That's the end of Hot Take Point Made. We will see you on the next episode.